All right, so here we are back for the third hour. We're going to be going to San Antonio to talk to Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News, Fox Sports, and the Big Ten Network. He's on the take for the Hoosiers. He looks fantastic down there off the Riverwalk. Look at him. Is that like he's looking like pink? I mean, he's got it all going. And at the Alamo Dome for the Final Four festivities, I got a friend going down there to the Final Four. I told him he should go to the TPC on Sunday and watch the golf at the Gasoline Open and then go to the game Monday. He's going Saturday to the hoops. I said, you got to go to the golf Sunday and then see the final round and then go Monday to the title game. I saw your rankings for the Final Four teams, and you obviously have Houston fourth, and that's because at times they struggle putting the ball in the hole, even in their Elite Eight final. There was a 5-minute stretch where they didn't score.
That is who they are, Scott. It's been the nature of this team, but they have won some very big games doing that. I used an example when they played on the road at Texas Tech, a team you saw in the Elite Eight that was literally 4 minutes from the Final Four, that Houston scored I think it was their 44th point around the 16-minute mark. Then they scored their 46th point at about 12 or 13, and then they scored their 48th point at 9 minutes, and they didn't lose the lead. That's because Texas Tech couldn't score at all. That's who they are, and so when you're playing against Houston, you have to be able and willing to fight through that. They're not going to make it easy for you. They're going to make it miserable. They're going to make it hard to get rebounds, hard to make initial passes. All of the things that you want to be comfortable doing, they make it hard. And if you are a team playing them, you can't surrender to the difficulty, to the frustration. If you surrender to the frustration of that, that's where they win.
So they're playing Duke, and I just think Duke is phenomenal. And what they did defensively to Alabama was we had seen them have 25 threes in the game before, and you knew as a basketball aficionado that you are, and that I believe I am, you knew they weren't getting 25 threes against that defense. And the way
No.
they play defense is spectacular. I think Duke and Houston are the two best defensive teams in America and have been all year. The difference for me is, Mike, is that Duke is able to score against good defenses. They're able to score more points than teams like Houston. They're able to put up more. They finished off Alabama, I mean, easily. It just doesn't matter who they play.
Yeah, Duke is a great offensive basketball team, but they haven't had to deal with this before. I mean, Auburn's very good defensively, and they came into Cameron Indoor Stadium, and the Devils were able to get the win. But this is a different level of defense that they're going against, and they know that because actually John Shire, 2 years ago, his first year, he wanted to against somebody that was going to make it difficult, and they chose Houston, and Houston agreed to the scrimmage in Houston, and they learned a lesson in that game, in that scrimmage, a private scrimmage, that it was they can make things really hard for you. It was different then because they had Jamal Shed, and he was as good against the ball as any guard's been in the last 10 years or so. But this team beats you in other ways defensively. They make it hard to make the initial pass to the wing. They don't allow offensive rebounds. They contest everything inside. I watched JT Toppin, who was an All-American for us, second teamer, go against them for Texas Tech and basically say, nope, I'm not going inside anymore. No fun. Don't want to do it. I mean, he didn't say it literally, but he said it with his play. He wanted no part of anything that happened within 6-8 feet of the goal from about the 10-minute mark of that game on. And it was a big difference in why Houston was able to win on the road at Tech.
I think that they're spectacular. They're going to make it very difficult. There's no denying that. I just think the same thing's going to happen to them. I think they're really going to have trouble scoring. I think Duke will find a way to score. Do you still believe, you haven't told me, do you think Duke will get past that defense and beat them?
I do. I think that they are the best team here. I think they are the team that looks like a national champion, Scott. I think we've mentioned this before. I've talked about it in a lot of places. You got to have pros. At least that's what the history has been. Since my first Final Four, this is my 35th. My first Final Four was was Kansas beating Oklahoma in Kansas City with Danny Manning having the game, as good a game as anybody's had
I
in the Final
remember
Four
it.
since. Yeah, and ever since then, you have had to have at least one and usually multiple NBA first round picks in your rotation in order to take home this trophy. And I don't know whether any of the other three teams have that. I think Alex Condon and Thomas Houck of Florida, maybe. I think Tahad Pettiford, if they can overlook his size at Auburn, maybe. Janai Broom's a great player. Maybe somebody takes him at the end of the first round. Maybe. Duke's the only team that you look at and say, no doubt, they're going to take those three guys in the top 10. They're going to take Malik Evans, Isaiah Evans, either this year or next year, preferably next year, because if he comes back next year, they're probably going to take him in the lottery as well. So that's what they have over every other team that's here. But they can lose to any of the other three. We've seen that. We've seen them lose to Kentucky, to Kansas, to Clemson. So it's out there for everybody to try to sort of write the new paradigm, or at least the new paradigm for this year. But there's no question in my mind that Duke is the team that is built most like the typical NCAA champion.
Well, so you have Florida 2 and Auburn 3, and they're playing each other, and they've seen each other. They know each other. They're SEC teams. I kind of like Auburn, their physicality. They're like a football team to me. Their size, their rebounding, their banging, their bangability. They're very tough and physical. And I think Florida's a gifted, talented, scoring team, quick transition team that has bigs. But I actually, for my money, I think they're a little soft, their bigs.
Well, I asked Alex Condon about that today because he did look like that in the Texas Tech game for about 35 minutes and then played really tough down those final 5 minutes when Florida won the game, came from 10 down. He was a big part of why they were able to come from 10 down. Got, I think, 3 rebounds, 2 offensive rebounds in those final 5 minutes. I think he made a bucket. He was a big part of that comeback. Not as big as Houck making 2 threes or Walter Clayton making 2 and assisting on some others. But he was a big part of it. And so I understand your point. And what Alex told me was that he didn't feel confident playing on his ankle and that affected him. And that as the game wore on, his confidence rebuilt and he was able to be effective when it mattered. And now his ankle's had another 6, to this point, 5 days. And then eventually maybe if it up, he'll have had 2 more full days on top of that. And so hopefully at that point, he's ready to go.
Respectfully, I have 1 minute. What's it like for you? I've been to 30 straight Super Bowl, Radio Rows, media, been to 15 Super Bowls. I've been to a lot of Final Fours and national championship games. My favorite being Indiana in '87 over Cuse at the Superdome. What's it like for you to go to this many Final Fours and have as much juice as Mike DeCourcy has in the media? You're like a god down there.
Well, Scott, today, John Shire couldn't even find me wearing pink in the crowd. I mean, he couldn't find me. So how much juice do I have?
Unbelievable. That's disrespectful. Mike, I love you. Have a blast at the Final Four.